Today's special guest is actually very special to me because for 10 years she was my business partner, and she's the one who taught me everything that I know about public relations for nonprofits. Now, she is currently the Director of Communications and Media Relations for the Calgary Food Bank. So with that, I'm going to introduce SHAWNA Ogston, who is going to talk to us all about media relations for nonprofit organizations. Well, I have missed you dearly over the last couple of years, and I'm very excited because I learned everything that I know about media relations for nonprofits from you. You taught me everything that I know, and I'm probably still guilty of doing a lot of the stuff that we did 20 years ago. So I'm looking forward to hearing what's new, what's happening. How can nonprofits connect with the media in this day and age?
Oh, right. Well, working with you was so much fun. I can't believe I've been doing PR for over 30 years. I've kind of capped it at that date because then it just sounds really old. And, when you say what's new, it's what's old is new again. We have great tools and great platforms, but it all comes down to relationships. And we call it communications, PR, marketing. Ultimately, it's media relations.
You taught me that too, that it's okay to pick up the phone. It's okay to call and say, I'm working on this, what would make it newsworthy? Just talk to them. They're just people.
Just people. And the great thing is because nobody's picking up the phone, when you do, it's alarming and you actually get a response much better than you did years ago.
As a journalist, I can see it. I would rather have a conversation so that you can send a release that I'm looking for, rather than just flinging me off something that you think that I'd want to report on.
Well, and developing those relationships are so key because you get to know the reporters, the journalists, you know what their beat is, you know what they're covering, so that you can actually position yourself as the trusted advisor, information provider. Because then if there's something that's in the arena and that's timely, they'll pick up the phone and call you. And you'll be surprised that, wow, my first point of contact with most media that I've developed relationships with are phone calls. And it's simply a discussion, not I find that a lot of the relationship piece, people get quite conscious about, oh, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to say too much. And no, it's just a relationship. You're having that sort of pre-interview on the phone.
So how do you nurture these relationships? Aside from just making that introduction, how do you on an ongoing basis nurture?
I tell clients and I tell people I work with, when the media calls, pick up the phone. And now I know that sounds pretty basic and pretty elementary, but you'd be surprised how many people will not pick up the phone. They'll let it go to voicemail. They'll see a text and they'll just leave it for a while. When it comes to media relations, understanding that the newsroom is moving at such a speed, the resources have been just cut. They're probably working on 3 or 4 stories. Whoever's answering the phone is going to get the story. And then you'll become the trusted advisor because you're the one who picks it up. You're the one who gives them the information. Then you'll get the quote and the testimonial. And it's key to developing those relationships by simply picking up the phone and answering them when the media calls.
I've had anxiety. I receive calls and I'm trying to get the executive director to respond, and she's in back-to-back meetings. And it's just because I know you got to move quick. You want that call returned immediately.
Yes. Well, and honesty goes a long way in developing those media relationships. So you pick up the phone right away and you find out what their story is and you find out when their deadline is and you're honest. You say, I could be the spokesperson. This person could be, our ED is the spokesperson, but they're not available. And now you're suddenly negotiating some timeframes, and the media at any forum appreciates that. And they're willing to work with you too.
Well, how do we find the right people to connect to?
Oh, yes. Who do you send what? And, it's just keeping your ear to the ground. There's so many times that people will just pitch to all of the news outlets. They'll just send out the release and like spaghetti against the wall and hope it hits. But if you do your research and develop your media list beforehand, you find out who covers what beat. Is that person still there? and updating your media list. It's key. Have they moved on from city reporting to city hall reporting? It makes such a difference to know who's doing what. Pick up that magazine, go online and read their blogs, find out what they're covering, and then create your pitch to match what will help them do their job.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that, throwing spaghetti against the wall, just creating my list of what are the different news desks and not really targeting as much as I should be.
Yeah. Well, you're also targeting not only what their audience is looking for, but you all should be targeting what they will need to do their job better. Because so many times the news release could actually be the story that they would just publish, because it'd say, oh, I love that idea. I'd love to cover it. I don't have time. You send them a news release and then you'll open the paper and go, well, that's everything I've written verbatim. And as a PR professional, you think, oh, I've achieved it.
I've had that happen. It's fantastic when it does. It's just like, that is exactly what I wrote.
It's so true. I mean, some of the great stuff that I get to do at the food bank is, sure, I get to stand in front of the camera and explain our vulnerable populations and the need for food, but the work that goes into that, developing those relationships, making sure those are key messages that can be disseminated through the media and that audiences will digest, is all part and parcel of your media relations process.
Yeah. And is sending backgrounders and pictures and things like that still relevant to help spoon feed the journalists on the articles?
Yes, but timing is everything, because you could send them a news release that has visuals and videos and backgrounders, and they're overwhelmed. And a lot of newsroom emails is how you could correspond with the media, and they can't actually get that through their firewall. So you're putting a lot of energy into creating this electronic press kit that they can't use. But you should have those things when you've established that contact to be able to say, okay, what would you like? And they might say, well, we can't send out a cameraman to your event, but if you can send us some video of it, and now you're giving them what they need. So you sort of have to have a toolkit on standby.
And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about planning.
Oh, yes. I mean, it sounds so easy. You just, throw out a news release or call the newsroom and then stand in front of the camera. But it is planning. You've got to be able to look at your calendar and see what's going on seasonally, not only for your organization, but also what's going on summertime, for example. There's a lot of kids out in the community. So how can we relate to back to school in August? When it comes to the food bank, what are we dealing with summer hunger and children that aren't involved in feeding programs? So we can look at our calendar from a cyclical point of view. And that way you're also ready for those things that just drop, whether it's a report about inflation. And if you're an organization that works with vulnerable populations that are budgeting, you can be available to comment because you're ready, you've planned, you've got all of your ducks in a row for the things that are happening seasonally, but you're also forecasting and having key messages ready. And that is so important part of the planning process.
And the differences, because I know with planning, there's the public, I see a cat.
Betty and Veronica may show their tails, so enjoy.
It's okay. Mike the puppy, when he was really little, had to do an entire video with me because he was running around chewing on the cords. So,
and there she is.
Okay, so in planning, the differences between when you send a media advisory because you've got an event coming up, or a public service announcement for a program, or a news release. Do you want to talk a little bit about the differences?
Oh, definitely. I don't think there's an appreciation for the different kind of media materials that are created. And this is part of the planning and understanding the media's job. So you don't want to just throw them this news release that doesn't give them the information that they need. If you are working with, let's say, planning an event, fundraiser, you need to get those into the community calendars 6 to 8 weeks in advance. So you've got a plan and you have to create material that they can easily digest. Simple 5 W's. And you don't have to really debate about the who, what, when, where, and how. Think about your audience. Okay, I'm doing something with babies. Now I'm going to be doing it at this place, at this time. Now, if I'm bringing my child, do I have to bring a coat because is it outside? So just thinking it from an audience point of view and then creating the 5 W's that the media can just extract and plunk into their community calendar. It's fantastic. That's what I call event listing copy. But then there's also the public service announcement, which kind of sounds like an ad. And those tend to go to a lot of our radio or blog type vlogs that you see out there. And that is sort of reads like a commercial so that they can just pick it up and talk about it on air. Oh, this event is happening at this time. You should come down. It's going to be a sunny weekend. Bring your dogs. And now there's a conversation happening about your organization. News releases are news. You need to be able to follow the format with the most important information in the headline, having a quote from your organization, but news. What is the news to the audience? Not to your organization, because you're always quite passionate and think, well, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it might not be to the audience. So you've got to look at what's that news and how can I write it like I was a journalist, and then they can pick it up.
Okay, you've given me some really great ideas because I did do a news release and now I have a public service announcement to send out shortly. And I just haven't been getting any traction at all on it. Like I'm okay to admit my failings.
Your news release is probably perfection. Oh, chef's kiss. And it's all just about, is that media used to you speaking about that particular topic or organization? And it just comes down to the relationships of, oh, they've got to get used to it. And you might have to send out a few pieces and pitches in the emails for them to digest. And it might be just the timing is off.
I was going to say, it's also in a city that I am not in. And I know that a lot of organizations have offices in different cities across their region. And that's a big struggle, is the national coverage as well, too.
Oh, yes. I mean, 30 plus years in PR, and national coverage is still so difficult because they've got their own little newsroom nuances. But a lot of times the reporters here in the city you're working in will actually take their story and make it national. So you never know when that little local story you suddenly sing on CBC National or something, and you think, oh, well, I guess that was a bigger news story.
Anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't cover? I mean, I know there's so much to it.
There really is. And I know what's old is new again, but also some of the old practices that happened in the 80s and 90s. Oh, we'll send the media a gift and they'll cover this. There is no time for that. They don't want another t-shirt for your event. They really want the information that's going to get their job done quickly and succinctly. So make sure that your messages are clear.
Then I don't want you to go. I want to talk forever on this.
I'm so honored to chat with you. The cause works with so many nonprofit organizations. I think there's so many great stories to get out there. So if anybody can take a snippet from today and use it in their own planning and disseminating their message, whether it's through social or traditional media, it's great because that will generate the awareness and that'll generate the dollars. And today we need that so much for our social safety net. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, SHAWNA.